All right. So what I want to do now is I am going to line up my needle, reposition it so that I can do my next section of my border. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go to the end of the last stitch. The end of the last stitch where just before I come down to the point, because I want to connect the two sections. Okay. And I'll show you that on the screen in a minute. Once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reposition my sew head right there. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to check to make sure that I'm as close to this seam line as I need to be. And I'm going to check to make sure that I'm not running over the edge and I still have enough room for that 1/4 inch seam. I will bring it all the way down to where it ends, or where part of the pattern comes out, okay? And then I know that I'm not going to run into the bar, and I can go ahead and start sewing. Now, here's what I'm talking about when I say, oh, I need like a cameraman. That would be really cool to have. Okay. So, when I come in to reposition, I'm not going to reposition here, okay? I'm going to reposition up here where the pattern starts, okay? If you look at this pattern, let me click on it. We're going to scroll in. See how it has this hook right here? Okay. I want that hook to hook on to this petal right here. Okay. So that's where I'm going to reposition this right on here. And then I've got my next two sections. Okay. And since I've already done this section up here, this will be the next section that I do. All right, and you can see that it's changed colors. So my next section is going to be from here to here. Okay, and here is here's my border right here. All right. So it's pretty simple, and I hope I've explained it well enough. And if you've got any questions whatsoever, do not hesitate to put them in the comments, okay? And I will come back and we will finish off this quilt. All right. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just checking to make sure that I'm in the right spot for my border, making sure it fits at the end and I've got room to move, and then I can go ahead and I have already repositioned. Okay, at this point in time is when I am double and triple checking my positioning on the quilt, okay? I messed up on the right-hand side border, and my pattern actually was too far over on the edge of the quilt. So that's what I'm doing here, and I've got the speed going fast because I want to get through it, but I wanted to make sure, and this is something you're going to have to do, is double and triple check to make sure that your design is where it needs to be on that border, okay? before you start sewing it out and before you take that first stitch. Make sure that you check it against the pattern on your screen and against your quilt so that you get it in the right spot, okay? All right, my little guy sneezed. I had to go take care of that. Okay, so right now, what I'm doing is I am sewing out the border, okay? And I've actually sped it up because it took a long time, so I had to speed up the video and do a voiceover. But as you can tell, when I do the border, I double and triple check it to make sure that it's gonna fit. And then I go ahead and do it. And I make sure that I have enough room between my sew head and the bar that I can finish the actual sew out without bumping into the bar. All right. So at this time, I just want to ask you if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. You can share this video. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get my watch hours up, which is a YouTube requirement. But we're almost to the end of this, and I will get back to the video. All right. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got my border in. I haven't done this section yet, but my border fits right here, and I've got enough room along the edge to put my binding, okay? So the next step is going to be sewing in the Pantovision in the middle, okay? All right, so you can see up here, this was the first row that I did. So now I'm going to be working on the second row. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to position my cursor at the lowest point here, okay? That way I can go ahead and reposition this row. Let's take that back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to position my cursor right about here, okay? And then bring it down. I'll bring the cursor down to where the next position starts. Let's see, here, right here, at this green dot. Now, let's see if I'm gonna move this there. That way you can see it better. Okay, so this is my starting point. But when I get to that starting point, remember, I want to check it and make sure that it is going to fit. My line is going to fit here all the way to the end. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to position. All right, so I'm positioning at the bottom of the row I completed. Right about here. One, two. And then what I'm going to do is bring it down to where I'm going to start the next one. Now it is going off into the border and I don't want that. So I'm going to bring it in and we may have to adjust the pattern. What I'm going to do is I am going to check how far over it is. So I'm bringing it all the way over to the other side. And I can move the pattern on the screen and this is why you always check where your pattern is going to be, okay? I know people will, if you're just going from left to right, that's fine, but you got to make sure you're actually in the spot where you need your quilting to be. That's going to touch there. Then I'm going to come all the way back here. And I'm going to check where everything is at. Make sure I'm within my border. And where everything is touching at. That's good. And I think what I may have to do, and you know, once you start doing this, I'm going to go into transform here because I think this is just a little bit there. I think I did it. It just looked a little bit crooked. Okay. So I should be good to go. And I always check. If I was just doing a regular Pantovision, going from side to side, that to me is really easy to do. But because I've got borders on here, I need to make sure I'm not crossing the stream, the seam. And I should be able to just go into running view. And I'm where I need to be. Check one thing, because I'm going to make this smaller. Oh, see, I still need to move it over. When you go into running view, you can check it at that point too. So I need to come over just a little bit more because my point, oh, this needed to be a little tiny bit more moved. Just a tad. Okay. I should be good to go. So I'm going to come down. I'm good here. Go ahead and make sure I change my basting stitch back. And then we'll go into running view. Oh, I'm in running view. I like making my pattern smaller on the screen. It's easier. I don't know why. So I'm going to go ahead and finish sewing this out, and I'll meet you at the next border. Okay, so we're on the far border now. So once I've done this row, I'm going to go back into transform. I'm going to click on the border, the right side border, because that's where I'm at right now. I've got my sew head positioned where I need it to start. Move my pattern up a little. And in a little. And like I said before, you may have to finagle your pattern a little bit, okay? Because sometimes it just doesn't work on the screen. You know where it wants to go, but your screen is telling you, no, stick it over there. So I would finagle your pattern, then double check. Make sure that your pattern is going to go where you need it to go. So mine's got to be moved over. Check on each side where it's at and come all the way down here to make sure I'm not going to hit the bar. And once you get, like I said before, once you get used to doing it, it's going to become second nature. You'll be like, oh man, I can do this. And this is why you check, because my border is not straight. So that's why you need to check. And you may have to adjust your pattern a little bit. I'm actually in transform right now, and I'm adjusting my pattern a little bit to make it fit. Okay, it's not going to change anything, but we need to be able to get it to fit in here. So in all actuality, my border on my quilt is not straight. So that has been the problem, okay? And that is why I'm having to double and triple check everything, because this border is wonky. Which it makes it easy because then you'll know, hey, it's going to fit. All right, so now it's going to fit. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to tie off here. I'm actually going to take a few stitches. And then we're going to go into running view. Excuse me. And I forgot to baste my side, so I'm just trying to be careful so I don't touch it. Okay, so I'm gonna stop it here and we'll move the camera behind me so maybe you can see. And there you go. We've done the right border. So I'm going to go ahead and get all the way down to the bottom of the quilt, and then I will show you how I put on the bottom border, okay? So if you've got any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll make sure that I can get them answered, okay? All right, see you later.